Last year at Destination D23, I had a chance to see a preview of Toy Story 5. They showed us a few clips, they had a few cast members on stage, a few moments with the film, and it was a lot of fun, but I had to admit that I didn't see the hook. I wasn't really, sure what they were going to offer us, and especially after Toy Story 4, I really was like, where is this going to go? Because Toy Story 4 felt like it was the bottom of the barrel, as it were. It just felt like they didn't have a clear focus, point of view, or idea to run with anymore. And so going into Toy Story 5, I really was dubious. I love this franchise for what it represents. I think it's one of the true, pure franchises that has had quite a few great storytelling moments throughout the whole franchise. And I really wanted to see more of it, but I wondered where we were going to go, especially with the fact that Toy Story 3 is one of the best films. Toy Story 5 is a miracle. It is absolutely wonderful. I have minor complaints with it. I have a hard time saying that it's better than 3, but it is absolutely better than probably everything else in the franchise. It is phenomenal, wonderful, and charming. And that comes back to the fact that it really knows how to tell a new story, and that's essential for this franchise. Joan Cusack returns as Jessie, and this is a character we've had certainly some wonderful moments throughout the franchise, including some of the TV specials and things like that. But this film is all about her and her character, how Jessie really gets this new life, and what that means for her as a toy, is she a good toy, and her whole history. And it dives so beautifully into that whole narrative. But it also is the story of how kids need to connect. And I love how this movie deals with that, because not every kid wants to sit around and game together. I mean, my kid does. But, that is not something that we want our kids doing all the time. And it's a tough thing. Devices have taken over for adults, for kids, everyone. And it's that, you can't ban them in your life. I do think there is a place for that type of play, that type of thing. And this film, I think, supports that whole story too. But it is also about how kids need to connect. And this story has this beautiful overall arc of how Bonnie is growing up and how she's changing, and how she's also kind of a timid kid, but also a kid who obviously wants to play. And it's about her basically finding a friend, and how difficult that is for her amongst kids who just want to be online or maybe don't have the imagination. I want to say too, for me, I think it's about creative kids especially. Maybe it's all kids. I don't know. But for me, I do read a bit into it of the creative kids, maybe the weird kids, because I feel like that was me growing up as a creative weird kid. That this is telling that story of needing to find connection. And it is wonderful. The only drawback to this whole film is that preview that I saw at Destination D23. I didn't need Buzz Lightyear, and I didn't need Woody in this film. I didn't need them at all. And I know there are fans out there of the franchise, and I get this. They have been the stars of this franchise, but I didn't need them, and I don't think the story needs them. I love that Buzz ends up taking this great backseat. So does Woody. These characters get this kind of backseat roles in this story, and it's handled beautifully. I still think they didn't need to be in the film. I could have happily had this film without them at all, but for the fans who want to still see them, and there are some great little moments with them. And I'm not gonna lie, Tim Allen and Tom Hanks, it's great to hear them in this. They are the root of this franchise, but not necessary. They absolutely were not needed. I will die on that hill, but people will disagree with me. I'm sure in the comments I'm going to get some comments about that, but see the film. It's really interesting how it's handled, and the fact that there's so many toys. You don't need to always rely on the same characters. And I think the future of Toy Story is in finding stories with new magnetic characters. And, you know, I'm going to say there's lots of little cameos in this, characters that you want to see again. They come back. New characters, including a new kid. Wonderfully well told. I love everything about it. But the thing I really want to talk about is the side of this story as a reference point for parents, because I think whether you're a new parent, whether you've got little kids, tweens, teens, this movie is going to speak to you. And I'm not going to lie, this film almost made me sob. I think I kind of held it at bay more than anything else. But talking to some of the other critics afterwards, I mean, this is a really touching film. There's 2 or 3 points in the film that are probably going to make some parents cry. And in the best way possible. It is beautiful. I cannot speak highly enough of a film that can at one moment make you laugh and the next few minutes make you cry. I think that's the drama of this series. You know, animated movies get such a bad rep as like, it's not a genre. It is not a genre. And I think the problem is that these films are so popular that it's easy to shoehorn them together. But, you know, it takes a particular skill to make a mature kid story. And by that I mean a drama that tells a story that kids and adults can enjoy together, and that there's something for everyone sitting down to see this film. And that's what makes this franchise so successful, is that it's a story for everyone. And it's going to be a huge film this summer, and I'm thrilled with that because it is a wonderful film. I would see it twice in theaters, but I certainly think that if you see it in a theater, you're going to look forward to watching it at home. And I'm rewatching the whole franchise now because it really inspired me. I think that's pretty cool. But the whole story tells this arc of being a kid and what that means, and connecting with toys and creativity, and being an adult watching your kid grow up, and the transition between being a little kid with the toys and a bigger kid who starts to leave the toys behind. And we have had that story told to some degree in this franchise already, but I love the way this film handles it and centers it on Jessie. The last thing I'll add is the fact that this film and 4 very firmly exist in the realm of post Toy Story 3. And in a way, I love that because Toy Story 3 set up the consequences and the story of toys going on to the next home and everything else, what that means, the kid angle on it and everything else. But the problem is that Toy Story exists in this world of post Toy Story 3, and I don't know how they escape that. I think this film does a good job of living in that reality without telling the same story completely again. But I do think that that's the biggest problem, is that as a franchise, this was a perfect, trilogy. And now we're adding more films, and obviously they're going to make more. I can't fathom that they won't. But I do wish that there was a way that these films existed outside of that end of the story that felt so final to me, at least. So let me know once you've seen the film. I'd love to hear what you think about it. Again, it's not a perfect film, but it is a fantastic film, and it can be both. Very few films are perfect, so that's the bottom line, of course. But if the story ends up feeling complete and moves you and everything else, then it's a great story. It's a great film. Thank you again. If you can, like and subscribe. It helps me a lot with making more videos. I really need to have the views, the likes, and the subscriptions to keep going. Thank you very much.